all the biblical verses about women submitting to their husbands, daughters submitting to their fathers, completely literally. In addition to which, there's a movement that I was part of that I write about in my book, Sex, Mom, and God, that was started by someone called Mary Pride, and she's a follower of Mary Pride. I happen to be Mary Pride's agent, got her first book published back in the late 1970s, when I was in that movement myself. As I describe in my book, why I got out of it is a different story. But Mary Pride is so radical that she taught people to not only stay home and homeschool their kids, she's anti-birth control, tells women that they should have as many kids as possible, and actually helped found something called the Quiverful movement based on a psalm that talks about having a full quiver, i.e. a big family. So Michelle Bachmann's background in the Christian world and the groups she's been associated with and her gurus, like my late father Francis Schaeffer, and the people he was associated with, and people like Mary Pride that she's followed in the homeschool movement, come from a radical wing of fundamentalist Protestantism that, might as well be in the 15th century. Literally, they don't believe in birth control. They say you should have big families. Wives should submit to their husbands. This is her wing of the church. So when she's asked that question, wink, wink, nod, nod, and says, oh, submission to me just means mutual respect, that would be like someone asking a Stalinist in the 1930s if to them communism means the dictatorship of the proletariat, and they turn around and say, oh, no, to me it just means, we all share. Well, in the context of Stalin's purges, that's not what it meant. And in the context of Michelle Bachmann's extremist, radical fundamentalism coming out of the Reconstructionist movement, she comes from part of the church that teaches absolute submission. Of course, it doesn't apply to people like her, as it didn't apply to Mary Pride, who became a best-selling author with a one-woman feminist-style industry, but it applies to all the people that follow these leading women who want to deny other women the rights feminism has claimed for everyone, whether it's abortion rights or the right to the pill or to limit children or to be equal to the men in your life. But, she doesn't practice what she preaches, but when asked the question, she just told a barefaced lie. She says, no, that's not me, it's just mutual respect. Well, that really is a tall one, because it goes against everything that she's been standing for in the group she's been associated with for the last 20 years.
I want to get back to the implications of that, of the fact that she would lie in that instance. But first, give me a sense. What is, when you say Reconstructionism, when you say Dominionism, what is it, and how is it different from what we understand of just a general fundamentalist?
Well, it's radically different. In the same way, I hate to keep using the communist analogy, but in the same way that if you're talking about mild socialism as opposed to Stalinist purges, okay, they're both from the left, but they can't be lumped together. Well, the Dominionists were represented by people like Ruth S. Rushdoony that I knew in the 70s and 80s, Gary North, my father to some extent, and other people. Herb Titus, who taught at the Oral Roberts Law School and then went on and founded the law school for the 700 Club folks, Pat Robertson and those guys. Dominionist means take dominion over the earth. In other words, we are going to establish a theocracy where Christ is the head of our country, not the Constitution, not the Bill of Rights, not the Congress, not the President, Jesus Christ. And so the Dominionists are to Christianity what Wahhabist Islam is to moderate Muslims everywhere. In other words, the Saudi royal family exporting Wahhabist madrasas all over the world to indoctrinate people with far-right, royalist-based Islam is not to be confused with moderate Muslims in Indonesia or Malaysia or all over the world. Well, similarly, the American Reconstructionists that Sarah Palin has signed up with and is now backpedaling and lying about in terms of distancing herself, pretending she's not one of them, whether it's her homophobic views expressed by herself and her husband who want to recondition gay people, pray the gay out of them through counseling, all these things she's backpedaling on. The fact of the matter is she's been hot deep in this since she went to Oral Roberts Law School, was taught by Herb Titus, who was a disciple of my father, came frequently to my dad's ministry of L'Abri in Switzerland, as I describe in my book, Sex, Mom, and God. And this is a record that just can't be lived down. And so when we get out of the primary season, if the mainstream media has the temerity to actually tell the truth about these extremists who have gotten themselves into positions of power in the Republican Party, from the Tea Party to Bachmann and all these others, they'll find that they are deep in a cultic, fringe movement that even makes most American evangelicals look moderate. So she comes not just from the evangelical heartland, but the most radical fringe of it.
Well, so tell me, give me a sense of how this developed. I mean, because I think when I, and I'm not well versed in Christianity, but I am, I always think of leave unto God that which is God, leave unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and it seems to me that until sometime in the mid-'70s, that was, in fact, the way that the fundamentalist movement in this country reacted more or less to politics. And you're not talking just about people who are organizing to get vote. You're talking about a movement that is, at its heart, is looking to infiltrate our government and seize any type of secular government to actually be illegitimate.
Yeah, these folks are in exactly the same place ideologically, although it's a different religion, as the Ayatollah Khomeini was when he fled the Shah's Iran and went to Paris and waited there for his revolution and came back and started a, quote, Iranian democracy that turned out to be a brutal theocracy. They are the Christian version of this. And so in the best of all possible worlds, we would be stoning gays to death, adulterers would be killed, etc., etc. They take the Old Testament absolutely literally. If you look at the writing of Gary North, who's one of their leaders, as I do in my book, Sex, Mom, and God, I have a quote in there for him actually debunking, believe this or not, debunking the words of Jesus Christ when